Chapter 3, The Canellan Palace. Pyper, San Diego. A few days earlier, I had not even heard of the Akea Wine Festival, but I would be attending it 4 days from now. I cannot contain my excitement. This is the first time I would ever join it, and how Mayo described the festival made me look forward to it even more. I would see Akeans as they displayed their power. What a grand event it will be. No doubt about it. At the festival, hundreds of children will be showing off their powers. It would be so different from where I am from. Here in Nijmegen, we share the same ability, so there is nothing to show off. I do not say that with distaste. I like my power. I would never trade it for any other, or maybe I would. I smiled impishly at the wicked thought. I would finally be able to see the Emperor. I do not care about what everyone says about him. He could be the vilest creature there is, but it would still be such an honor to be in his presence. 4 days. 4 days. 4. Such a lovely number. I smiled to myself and hummed a tune that my father taught me. But then I pouted as I continued what I was doing, making dreadful sandals. I cut the leather. 2 strips. Then another 3. After this, I had to start with the stitches. To finish off, I would have to find the rubber tree and extract its sap and use it to bind the leather together. I sighed. I utterly disliked sitting down inside my room and making sandals, but my father would tell me that he would not let me see Kino or Mayo again without these sandals. So, I have to bear with it. Maybe when I get older, I will finally find joy in crafting a pair for my friends. Right now, though, I felt like my youth was wasting away on this activity. Distant Ekis. Our plan was, let me say this with great pride, brilliant. The only problem that I could think of was if the Emperor asked Kino to lift a heavy thing. That would be a problem because I would have a hard time doing that. But if it were as simple as throwing pebbles, a rock, some fruits, or even reaching out a tree's branch, then it would be a breeze. I could not shake off my excitement, and throughout the day, I kept grinning to myself. Or maybe I should just bring a box and tell Kino to focus his power on the box and make it float. Right. That would be perfect. My father entered the room. Be cautious. The elder is back. There's nothing much we can do now. Nobody was able to raise the alarm. Pass it around. Go. I was shocked, but I heeded my father's instructions. I vanished immediately and went outside, my eyes searching for the elder. I grabbed a vine and swung to another tree house. I saw the gooey image of an invisible body, and I knew that he or she had been warned already. I went ahead and swung to another treehouse where I saw the same. It seemed like I was one of the last Nivens to know about the elder's presence. It seemed that no one needed the warning, so I rested on a tree that was about a few yards away from the elder. I squinted and saw that it was the same man, Elder Man, if I remembered his name correctly. He did not have any pigs with him this time, but 2 birds perched on his shoulders. He walked around and spoke. Dear Nivens, I want to talk to you, he started in a booming voice. He seemed to be listening intently. All around me, I saw gooey figures of invisible Nivens, all holding their breaths, none daring to move. When nobody answered, he continued, Akea needs your allegiance. Outside these mountains, rebellions are starting. We need you to join us. He paused as if giving us a chance to speak, but the Nivens never bothered to move from where they were. The world is stirring. The Emperor is not new to plotting disasters to hold power. One great rebellion could put an end to this. If you were an ally to the Elders Guild, we would be one in claiming the peace that once blessed Akea. I wanted to learn a lot about Nijmegen, its history, its people, and its role in Akea. But here in our town, nobody spoke about the past anymore. There was a movement to my left, and someone squeezed my hand. I knew it had to be Koki the Nameless. It was good to know he was back from Direla. I would listen to his stories later. I squeezed his hand back. I still found it amazing how he could pinpoint my hand's exact location, even if I were invisible. I had asked him many times how he did it, but he would smile and tell me that I would learn in time. The elder took out a hammock and began tying one end to a tree. Then he moved to the other side and did the same. If nobody would acknowledge my presence, I'll stay here until you all show yourselves, Elder Man said. What is he doing? I whispered to Koki. I think he's settling in. Settling in? I asked, disbelief coating my voice. Isn't he scared? He could not stay here. The Nivens would have a hard time moving around if someone had a watchful eye on us. This calls for Act Number 1, Kogi whispered. I nodded to myself. Act Number 1 meant that we were allowed to scare people, but of course, without touching them. I have to go down, Kogi whispered again. The elder climbed onto the hammock and lay there, sprawled under the shade of the trees. The weird thing was that he seemed to be enjoying himself. It seemed to me like he was in no hurry to leave either. Several luminous figures loomed around him. It was difficult to spot them, but I knew what they would do. They would shake the elder off the hammock, exert effort to make the leaves of the trees rustle, and do whatever it takes to send shivers up the elder's spine. Act Number 1 had started. One of the Nivens pushed at the hammock, and Elder Man held tightly to it. The birds flew away, flapping their wings loudly. Elder Man tried to sit up on the hammock, but the Nivens prevented him from doing that. Niven after Niven pushed at the hammock, sending it rising, and then before it could go up the other side, it would stop. Perhaps the Nivens held the hammock back in such a way that it was now tilted on one side. Elder Man seemed perplexed about what was happening around him, but his face was also painted with concentration. His eyebrows were knotted, his lips pursed. Regardless of everything that was happening, something was missing from his countenance. I finally detected what it was that was amiss: fear. His face lacked that emotion. It was as though he knew that we were not ghosts. My thoughts were jolted by what happened next. The hammock was let loose, and it swung to the other side. Then it stopped again, suspended in midair as Nivens continued playing with the elder. The hammock shook hard, trying to make the elder fall to the ground, but he was still holding onto the hammock tightly, wrapping his legs around the hammock in an attempt to win the battle he did not know he was fighting. Then I heard Nivens gasping all around me. I squinted and saw that on both ends of the hammock, 2 snakes had started crawling down. They were not so wide in girth, but they were at least 2 yards long. A yelp escaped my mouth. The invisible Nivens holding the hammock let go of it and stepped back, perhaps afraid the snakes would bite them. I wanted to help the elder because even though he was keen on exposing us, he never harmed us. I did not want harm to befall him too. I was unprepared for what happened next. The snakes coiled around the elder's body, tying him securely against the hammock. Oh, that's brilliant. I thought to myself. I forgot that the elder could talk to the animals. Maybe he asked the snakes to protect him from being shaken off the hammock. The elder did not speak. He lay there with a satisfied expression on his face. He did not seem like a proud man, only like one whose conviction was too solidly fixed. I did not know how we could drive him away without touching him. Elder Man was not afraid of ghosts. Either that or he knew what we were. But how could he? The pig? The coin? But I was able to retrieve the coin. He must be bluffing. I got tired of watching the elder, so I went inside the house and continued with the sandals. Hours passed, and when I looked outside the window, the elder was still on the hammock. I could sense the agitation of my fellow Nivens. Peeps, my father called. There will be a Niven elder meeting. This old man is giving us cause to worry, he said and vanished. This was bad. Niven still considered me a child, so I could not join the meetings. My task was limited to keeping quiet and helping only to spread the warnings. I wish there was something more I could do to help. I gazed out the window and saw that this time the snakes were gone. I hoped they were back where they had come from. I hated snakes. I went back inside and thought about what I could do to help, but no idea came. Enough with the sandals. I climbed down the treehouse and thought it better to eavesdrop. In going to the town hall meeting, I tried to avoid the elder's hammock. Elder Mayan was still there, this time eating a piece of bread. That's it. Everybody gets hungry. If there's no more food and water, if he ran out of supplies, then he would leave us in peace. All I needed to do was to tell my father. I quickened my steps this time until I reached the town hall meeting. The elders of Nivedon seemed to have heard me because they stopped talking. Food, I said in a hushed voice. If he runs out of food, he will leave. Pyper. Father blurted out. I told you, you're not allowed here, he sounded displeased. I'm sorry, Father, but I thought. Go home, he said. There was finality in his words that told me I stood no chances by arguing. I turned around and left. On the way back to the house, another Akeen entered the village. What was happening to the world that everyone seemed to be braving the ghost town? The newcomer was wearing an almost identical robe to what Elder Man was wearing. Another elder. I went back inside and told the Niven elders, "Father, more trouble. Another elder has come." Everybody around me went still. If earlier they seemed concerned, now they are distraught. I could understand the concern. If Akeens keep entering Nivedon, it would not be far off before our identity gets discovered. I rushed out of the town hall, and even though I was invisible, I still hid behind the trees. I was pretty sure that the newcomer was also an elder, judging by his clothes. He had no hair, and even from a distance, I could see his face was covered with wrinkles. He was talking to Elder Man, and they seemed to be eyeing each other quite a lot. I moved closer to better listen to what they might have been discussing. I saw some footsteps beside me, and I knew that the other Nivens were eavesdropping too. "Elder Tala," Elder Man said. "What are you doing here? You have another purpose. You were asked to rally the South. Why did you follow me?" Elder Tala smiled maliciously. "I am intrigued, man." The other elder's face broke into a huge grin before his eyes squinted, looking around him, taking in Nivedon. The elders have missions, all dictated by the Elders Guild. And yet, yours brought you to this place. So I ask myself, wasn't your directive to find allies? And if that were true, why did you end up here? Do you intend to partner with ghosts? The elder stopped talking, and his mouth twisted in an admonishing frown. "My directive is mine to keep. You have your own mission. It will be wise to go on your way now," Elder Man said. The other elder nodded. "I thought so too. But then, as I told you, why are you here? It intrigues me. Is there something you know that I don't? Something that could somehow change the way the rebellions are taking course? I know you have heard the prophecies of Micromania. Don't you dare speak about the prophecies here," Elder Tala hissed. "It is not my place nor yours to talk about them." Elder Tala looked taken aback. His face softened for a while. "Regardless? Whatever brought you here could account for something that maybe the rest of the Elders Guild must know of. They will know once I tell them, and once I have proof," Elder Man said. The other elder laughed loudly. "You are crazy, man. Whatever this is that you're doing here, it is useless. But I have not followed you all the way here just for me to leave the moment you tell me to. Please," Elder Man said. "I ask of you, as a fellow elder. Please, allow me to do my work here. I know your softened ways, man. It is wise for me to stay here with you, as you may need my counseling for your actions," the other elder said in a jesting tone. He pointed at the hammock. "And what does that stand for? Are you going to stay here for a long time?" he asked mockingly. Elder Man started to look offended. "I have my ways, Tala. And I have always succeeded. Please let me handle this, and see to your task." The other elder shook his head. "Nonsense. I know what you're thinking. Ghosts can be good partners. But they are spirits, man. Not even 1,000 of them can lift one lone sword. Leave now," Elder Man shouted, his face taking on a dangerous shade of red. I got scared at the exchange between the elders. "Leave, Tala. I beg you. Just leave. I will prove to you that there are no ghosts. Or if ever there are, that they are meaningless, futile, lifeless spirits littering Akea without any purpose." Elder Tala yelled back. "Stop it." "No." Elder Tala stared at Elder Man, his arms raised as though he was about to summon something. "Listen to me. You are wasting your time here. It is all the elders' fault because they tolerated your nonsense ramblings about the ghosts. I should have put an end to it as soon as you opened your mouth. And since I was unable to do it then, watch me do it now." Elder Tala raised his arms higher, and as he grunted, his face twisted as though he was in pain. Elder Man's eyebrows shot up. "What are you doing?" "Proving you wrong. There are no ghosts," Elder Tala screamed. It was then when I saw what channeling Distantekis really could do. I watched as Elder Tala raised his hands even higher, and one of the treehouses shook. I held my breath and closed my fists, afraid that he was going to destroy Nivedon. In anger, I knelt and picked a small rock and threw it at Elder Tala, but before it reached him, the rock fell and hit the ground as if it had slammed against an invisible wall. Elder Tala looked in the direction where the rock came from, and I felt as if he could see me. I shivered. "What do we have here? Somebody threw a rock?" he said, laughing menacingly. I gulped in fear. My father would have my hide for this. But the elder was a horrible person. He wanted to destroy Nibaton. Surely my father would understand my defense. "Show yourselves, ghosts!" Elder Tala yelled, but no Nivan stirred. We held our breath, fearful of how this day may end. When nobody responded to Elder Tala, he went towards the nearest treehouse and raised his arms again, making the treehouse shake more forcefully this time. Before any Nivan could move, Elder Mayan lunged at Elder Tala, and both went tumbling down. The birds flew towards Elder Tala, taking turns pecking his head. The elder defended himself by sending the birds away with a wave of air. I heard their chirps as they vanished, their bodies exploding in the air. Elder Mayan's face went ashen, but he recovered immediately, shoving Elder Tala onto the earth and holding his hands. This time, Elder Tala seemed to be losing. But he was quick to recover and managed to kick Elder Mayan away. There were some movements from behind them. I edged closer, hoping to find what it was. And then, I saw a short brown-cloaked man who looked just about ready to join in the commotion. Judging by his actions, he seemed to want to help one of the elders but could not decide who to side with. I watched the cloaked figure curiously until finally, it made up its mind. It jumped and pinned Elder Tala's body. Both elders looked as surprised as I was. I had to clamp a hand to my mouth to prevent myself from gasping out loud. Elder Tala pushed at the brown-cloaked figure, sending him rolling yards away. Just then, 2 snakes crawled towards Elder Tala, but he shoved them away with his power. The 3 of them, the elders and the brown-cloaked man, were now standing apart from each other. Elder Tala pushed air towards his opponents, but the brown-cloaked man was quick on his feet. He attacked Elder Tala, and they fell, rolling in the dust. But Elder Tala was cunning, and it seemed like his body was attuned to his powers. In one swift movement, he pushed at the brown-cloaked man, sending him sprawling to the ground. Then he lunged towards Elder Mayan. "Why are you so soft, man? Huh? Do you care for these ghosts?" he leered. Elder Mayan was taken aback, and a punch was thrown in his direction, leaving him lying beside the brown-cloaked man. Seeing that there was no one else to stop him, Elder Tala moved towards the treehouse and continued to use Distantekas to uproot the tree. My heart was beating crazily inside my chest. He could not destroy Nibaton. I was silently crying because part of the Akea tenets was to let harm come our way if it would mean not compromising our cover. Any perpetrator would leave us if it would be proven that there were no traces of life in Nibaton, I remember my father saying. The same was true for these elders, they would leave soon enough if we could hold on to our tenets. The elders may destroy our town, but they would never wring our secrets out from us. The tree shook, and it was close to falling now. Nivens around me were holding their breaths, too. Perhaps they were as shocked as I was at the turn of events. The brown-cloaked man stirred and sat up. The hood of his cloak fell backward, revealing his face, and my heart almost stopped beating. It wasn't a short man, but rather, a tall boy. It was Kino. Kino was glaring at the elder as he attempted to uproot the tree. He ran towards him, but the elder sensed him and immediately turned around. He gestured with his hands towards Kino's direction, sending the tree falling down his way. I was in shock. Everything was happening so fast. But it was Kino. I could not let the elder hurt him. Before anybody could stop me, I ran towards Kino. I would make him invisible. When I was close to him, the treehouse had started to tilt towards us, and all I could do was push Kino as hard as I could. My fear made me stronger, and I sent him tumbling several yards back, enough to save him from the weight of the treehouse. I ran to protect myself, but as I did, the house fell, and a branch struck the side of my head. The surroundings started to swirl, and I hit the ground as darkness engulfed me.